Will improving my home, making improvements, actually increase the value is the question Christine had for me. Yeah. And we're going to answer that in just a few moments.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
We're so grateful that for over 30 years, we've been able to help clients move forward selling real estate, buying real estate, and really, more importantly almost, do I dare say that on air? Yeah, I'm going to. It's really been helping families thrive in their lives as a whole, getting a handle on their finances, getting a handle on their relationships, even causing them to flourish, just getting a handle, even strengthening their faith walks. It's been such an honor to be able to do that, and real estate's been the vehicle. So yes, we have expertise there, and we're enjoying the rest of the ride as well. And so Christine wanted to know, will it increase the value?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the answer is going to be one that nobody's going to appreciate.
Oh, no.
And that word is, it depends.
Oh.
As a blanket statement, it depends. Now, the good news is we have done shows on specifics. What if I do a kitchen? What's my rate of return? If I do bathrooms, what's my rate of return? If I finish basements, what's my rate of return? And even then, when you go back to watch those shows, there will be some variables that you have to take into consideration.
Okay.
So we're going to learn and explore a little bit on this show the specific questions that you have, Christine, and then our hope and desire, and we know you're going to learn something for yourself. Take that learning that's going to come from Christine's questions and hopefully from my answers, and then utilize that in your own life. So, Christine.
Yes.
What specific things are you thinking of doing?
Well, we have a beautiful home as it is right now, but our basement has never been finished. And while we're preparing for the eventuality of selling our home, and I'm talking further down the road, once our currently teenage kids are ready to fly the nest.
Three beautiful girls.
They are so lovely. I'm so blessed to have such great girls. But they're in their mid-teens now, and we have to look at the reality that they'll probably leave the home, the family home, in the next 5 to 10 years. And when we go to sell our home, would it be more valuable for it to have a finished basement?
Okay.
We don't mind it being unfinished, but what would somebody else want? And if we did go ahead and invest in developing that basement, are we going to get a return on our investment in doing that? Or is it pretty much a waste of money for us to do that at this point?
Well, the first part is going to be, it depends on, there's the word depends. I'm going to have to choose a better word. I think I'm going to come up with a better word. What do you think? One of the things to consider is what is the reason for wanting to finish it? So the first part of it is, will I get the utility and the use out of the basement to really allow for the value to be absorbed in the use?
And really, that is a question we have as well. You've just put your finger on it. Is it going to enhance our life living in this home if we get a finished basement put in?
Right. And if the answer to that is absolutely, it's going to change our flow of life and it's going to enhance our living, then really the other question around does it increase the value is secondary.
Mm-hmm.
It's like taking a vacation. If you take a vacation, does it increase the value of your home? Well, clearly, no. You did the vacation elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Except if you did the vacation in your home, so to speak, by enjoying the games room or enjoying having family over or living life in it, and it increased the value of your pleasure, then you got value.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's less about, did it increase the value?
Got it.
Is that helpful?
It really is.
And a pool would be the same. We did do a show on pools not very long ago, so you might want to go back and watch that. Because pools and basements are probably the two biggest things in landscaping that we get asked. Will that increase value? So the first is, will it increase life for you? Life value. Mm-hmm. And if that answer is yes, then you might want to do it regardless of part B. So part B is who's going to do the work?
Talk about lifestyle enhancement. I don't think it will be us.
Okay. So if a homeowner is going to do their own basement, if they're great at what they do, then they will likely, if they do it with modest finishes, the value will be similar to the value invested.
Okay.
If a homeowner is doing their own, provided they should be touching a hammer and a saw and paint brushes and so on. If a homeowner ought not be touching it because they're not handy, because that's not one of their skills. They have other skills that are phenomenal, and home renovations and home repair and updating is not it. Finishing a basement can actually decrease the value. Because now you've done potentially a layout that doesn't work, or you've done it where the drywall is so scary that the person feels like they have to redo it. So now not only do they have to fix it, they have to kind of undo what you've done.
Yeah.
And so that's going to devalue the home. If you pay for a contractor to do the work, you're probably going to pay a good 2 to 3 times more than if you did the work yourself. So if you were handy, the cost will be 2 to 3 times. So let's say you spent, for argument's sake, $50,000 on finished some basement space. You probably increase the value of your home, ballpark, and it depends on the home and how big the home is and where the home is. So there are some other variables. Likely increase the home by about $20,000.
Okay.
If you did the work yourself, you might spend 20 and increase the home about 20, provided you did the work well. If you spent 20 and didn't do it well, you might decrease your home by 10 or 20.
I understand now.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that first question is really the first one to answer for yourself, whether you and Glenn, Christine, or you as you're listening to this show, it's think about what am I going to get out of it? And so you were thinking maybe a mom would move in, or there might be an apartment in the basement.
Yeah, and we're a homeschooling family, and we do homeschooling in the basement, and we've been doing it in an unfinished basement for several years. And it would be really nice to have a finished basement to do that in.
Right. So for the next 5 years, we'll say the girls will be homeschooled.
Right.
So you have to figure out for yourself, does it make sense for us to have that finished base? We've been doing it without the finished base for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so now, does that warrant us doing it, or are we better to leave it unfinished?
That's a decision to make.
Because from a buying perspective, it isn't likely the right buyer for your house is not going to buy it because the basement's not finished.
Yeah.
So they may not pay as much for it, but then you didn't spend the money. So if you're not going to get the utility out of it, I wouldn't finish the basement for someone else.
That's the question I wanted answered. Does it actually make the home more attractive to a prospective buyer somewhere in the future?
It may, and it may make it less attractive. Because one of my clients recently, we had to find homes that did not have finished basements because he wanted to do some bow and arrows in the basement. And so having a finished basement just meant that was an expense he had to rip out.
Right.
And so it really is variable. So you don't do it for resale. You do it for yourself. Now, having said that, if you're a little tiny townhome and there's not enough space without the finished basement, then it may warrant finishing the basement. Does that make some sense?
It does. That's really helpful.
Excellent. So we're excited to be able to be your partners on this journey. And together, we've really got this.
Moving forward with the Decker